But we'll delve straight into the big headlines over the weekend because on the citynewsroom.com, IEA have been speaking. That's the Institute of Economic Affairs, and they've been speaking on the presidential debates they've been trying to put together, right? So election 2024, we are still engaged in political parties on presidential debate. It comes with a photograph of a member of the 9-member committee established by the IEA to oversee the presidential debate, Dr. Humphrey Ayem Dake. Also, some big stories on the front portal of the citynewsroom.com. It says NDC is the only party with outstanding intellectual capacity. This is coming in from Dr. Peter Boamo Tukuno. NPP ready for 2024 IEA presidential debates. That's from their General Secretary, Justin Kodia from Pong. Election 2024, we are hopeful NDC will sign peace pact. That's coming in from the Peace Council. The state owes us 7.1 billion Ghana cedis, and this is coming in from Group Indum chairperson, Dr. Kwetey Indum. Gold for oil policy prevented force shortages. Bust MD with that one in, and also Bimbela, I'll go independent. Disqualified NPP parliamentary aspirant announces NPP to engage Cynthia Morrison over her decision to go independent. I think that was quite a big one. A lot of people didn't see this coming. I mean, Cynthia Morrison's decision to contest as an independent candidate. I mean, former tourism minister, quite a big wig in the party, right? So it was quite interesting that after losing our presidential parliamentary primaries, she decided to go independent. So we'll try and bring viewers some excerpts of that story. But last two stories: FDA seizes unapproved products in markets, crackdown across the country. Great stuff from the FDA. And finally, Starlink to begin operations in Ghana by August 2024. And I think this is really great news for the business communities and for those who really depend or do business within the digital space. Because the last time I was hooked on a Starlink internet, I couldn't believe it.
It was that fast.
But see, my problem is peculiar because of the network I use, right? So the jump from the network I use to Starlink was like night and day. Yeah, I'm not even joking. But for those who use the fairly popular ones, they are like, oh, it's okay, it's a slight upgrade, not much. But honestly, for the network I use, I couldn't believe it. It was like I'm loading a page, then it refreshes on its own, and I'm like, oh, this is heaven on earth. I'm not even joking. So it's great news. Starlink to begin operations in Ghana by August. I believe they've gone through all the regulatory approvals. So we'll bring viewers excerpts of that story. Any headlines for us?
Definitely. ChannelOneNews.com, and the one is the digit one, as I always say, .com. First story, election 2024. NDC manifesto is our collective decision to reset Ghana. Professor Opoku Ajimai, running mate of NDC. Lots of NDC stories coming from their
manifesto launch.
Yes, exactly. So we'll embark on a ruthless war against corruption, Mahama. Political appointees, ministers cannot apply for scholarships. We'll operationalize Commander Sugar Factory, revive Poalugu Tomato Factory. We'll restore licenses of wrongfully collapsed banks, investigate gold for oil policy. That's according to, that's from their manifesto. Still on that, NPP is Ghana's biggest political scam. That's according to John Mahama. Ofusompofu says, our manifesto will extricate Ghanaians from NPP's economic mess. The stories here. KNUST warns of fraudulent syndicate targeting university admissions. Power outage claims 2 lives at Tripoli District Hospital. Bolt acts to halt Nigeria-South Africa taxi war. And the FDA story is also here. And yeah, so most of the stories are from the NDC launch of their 2024 manifesto. We'll delve into that. Let's do a bit of graphiconline.com. Also, lots of it is from the NDC manifesto. NDC unveils manifesto for 2024 election, promising jobs and more. Read Mahama's policies That's what the story is saying. Oh, I've lost my internet. Do you take over?
Yes, so let me just bring excerpts of some of the stories from yesterday, particularly at the NDC's manifesto launch in the University of Education, Winneba. Big headline story: Ghana needs responsible, accountable leadership, and that's coming in from former President John Dramani Mahama. So the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has emphasized the need for responsible and accountable leadership to address Ghana's economic challenges while addressing the launch of the NDC's manifesto in Winneba. Mahama stated that the country requires a reset in its attitude to move forward. He stressed the importance of business progressing regardless of party affiliation, religion, or ethnic background. The flag bearer stated that the country's current state demands a government that galvanizes the efforts of all Ghanaians to achieve their goals. He called for leadership that will crack down on appointees who engage in wrongdoing, respect citizens' rights and freedoms, including journalists. He also highlighted the need to fight corruption by deploying the Operation Recover or the Loot principle. According to Mahama, the country needs a change that will usher a government that is responsible and accountable and will open up the country for business again. It was quite an interesting spectacle yesterday in Winneba, right? So the organization of the event for me was quite spot on in terms of the arrangements of the place, the stage, the lighting and everything. It looked quite good on TV. So the next thing to look out for was the speeches, right, and the lineup. But I think quite unfortunately they weren't able to go through all the speakers for the day,
yeah.
right? And later you hear the national communications officer of the party apologize that not all the scheduled speakers for the day were able to speak. But I think they tried to get the main guys to address critical areas they deem very important, right? So you had the likes of Samuel Kujetu Ablakwa come speak on corruption and governance, right? And he was quite emphatic in his assertions that, see, this is the government to fight corruption. And of course, corruption has been a topical issue in recent times, right? So, of course, government to say, well, we brought the RTI bill where we're trying to make information easily accessible to the public. We instituted the Office of the Special Prosecutor, right? They'll go on to say, well, when misconduct was found with the PPAC and all of that, we dealt with it and all of that. But I don't think the general Ghanaian is satisfied with the fight against corruption in the country. And it reflects in the corruption perception index we see each year, right? So I think government has a current score of 43, which many analysts and anti-corruption crusaders in the space say doesn't look good enough. So that was great. Then, of course, the economy, big. They tried to break down the 24-hour economy because a lot of people were still not clear what really the policy entails, right? So now they have this whole phrase, 3-1-3-3. So one job, three different people, three different shifts and all of that. So it was quite interesting. And President Mahama's speech, I do a sharp contrast with that of the Baumia. I mean, they were both outlining their vision, right? Except that for the current vice president, in the last 10 minutes of his speech, he sort of went off script, if I recall correctly, and he had this really passionate pitch to Ghanaians, where, right, essentially saying, see, I've been vice president. I've not had ultimate responsibility. I've had a collective responsibility. Sometimes we sit at the table at cabinet and not all my prescriptions are taken, right? So that's collective responsibility. But he says that, see, vote for me to become president and give me that chance to have the ultimate responsibility. Whereas Mahama is also sending out a message that, see, if you look at the kind of struggles we've had with the economy and the fight against corruption, we need a reset, right? So it's interesting seeing how all of this plays out. A lot more scrutiny will have to be done on the manifesto, which I believe is a social contract between a political party that wants to win political power and the people of Ghana. So it will be interesting days yet. I didn't hear much about Okada, the Okada policy. I don't know if they've jettisoned it.
Friday or something, we spoke to them, and they were also very interested in what Mahama had to say.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear.
I mean, I heard this. I think I saw. I've been trying to read through a manifesto, and I think I saw the pensions fund or something like that for Okada riders. But considering how it was such a main deal in the 2020 election, I was thinking it would still be as prominent as it was, but not quite.
Not quite.
We heard more of the academic fees, first-year fees for university students, and trying to fight corruption and this whole 24-hour policy, working policy, and the Women's Development Bank, which is also quite big for the running mates for the NDC. So in the coming days on ChannelOne TV, on City FM, I'm sure we'll be dealing more on both manifestos. But I think I'll urge anybody who is interested in who should be their leader of the country should take some time out, read the manifesto for themselves, and get to make their own informed judgment about what is best to lead a country.
Aside the corruption, though, some of the things that stood out for me is their promise to reintroduce free sanitary pads for female students. Now, I have done a story on that before, and because of the prices of pads now, some range from 25 Ghana cedis, and for a female, you need about 2 packs or sometimes more. And it gets expensive if your parents are not able to afford for you. Then you start to look for alternatives, which could end you up getting pregnant or whatever. So if indeed they can,
you see, I feel you correctly, but that's for school children, I believe, right?
Yeah.
But my question then again is, if a parent is earning above 6,000, 10,000 Ghana cedis. Somehow we understand I'm earning 20,000 Ghana cedis, right, in this country.
But not all parents are.
Yeah, true. So then again, the question about targeting comes in, right? We've said that, see, this whole populist approach to implementing policies is not really helping anyone.
Yeah.
We had a whole finance minister come and sit on Bernard's show and say that, see, he sees no point in having his child, that's Kenoforiata, benefit from free SHS, because he could have paid for 100 students and will not even feel a pinch in his pocket, right? So the point then again is that why are we jumping on another populist bandwagon saying we are going to provide free when indeed other parents can afford it and even afford it for a lot more other kids? So I think, considering the kind of circumstances we find ourselves in, maybe we should push our political parties to do the hard work of targeting some of these social interventions rather than a blanket implementation, which in the long term would have other challenges for the economy. So see, free SHS, we put so much money in it, and it's at the peril of basic education.
Their traffic light system.
Exactly.
Red, gold,
so
I've honestly lost track of
the green, blue,
who is
and
going to school at what time and who is coming
so
here.
the point essentially is that we need to do the hard work of targeting. I've heard people say that, see, we don't even need a manifesto as a country. What we need is to go back to the National Development Planning Commission's work and the National Development Plan. So now what political parties should be more interested in is the how, and voters will get to decide on that, not necessarily the what. Right, so I think these are the big conversations we should be having.
Yeah, I think they also touched on that, that they are going to improve it. So
the National Development Plan.
No. Their free senior high school. The NDC said they're going to improve it.
They can't improve. Any government that comes and says we are going to, even if you use the word review, might be in trouble. So of course, they'll have to use the word improvement, all of that. But the truth is that we know what is best for our country at this point. People say political parties are built on ideologies, whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right, center left, or whatever it is. But the point also is that at this stage in our democracy, we know what works for us, right? And my point is that we should agree on a national framework towards achieving that. And now political parties will have to now debate or argue on how we are going to do it, not what we are going to do. So I think these are the big conversations that we should have.
All right, I think most of the stories are NDC, but let's touch on this. Away from the manifesto launch, KNUST in Kumasi is warning of fraudulent syndicate targeting university admissions. A bit of that reads, the management of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has warned about the criminal activities of a fraudulent syndicate attempting to interfere with the university's admission process. So according to KNUST, the syndicate operates by using fake email addresses such as knust.inscript@gmail.com and knust.inscription@gmail.com to deceive prospective students and their families. These scammers, the statement added, falsely claim to facilitate the admission process and solicit payment and personal information from unsuspecting applicants. They thus emphasize that it has not authorized any individuals, agents, or third parties to manage admissions on behalf of the university. And I think that's something that people should take note of when you type kenusd.com. Definitely, other things will come up, but just make sure that what you are typing into the domain name is correct. Otherwise,
you'll be duped.
You'll be duped and you'll be found wanting.
Interesting.
Any other stories?
And on to some more tragic story. Kwetey, 1 dead, 62 others in critical condition in fatal crash. Story by Neil Ni Kanaku, ChannelOne News' Eastern Regional Correspondent. So the story says 1 person has been confirmed dead and 62 others in critical condition at the Nkoko Holy Family Hospital and Kinop Care Hospital after the bus in which they were traveling got involved in an accident on the Kwetey mountain. It's unclear what caused the accident, but the bus with registration number GE 765215 belonged to Monarch Football Club in Ningo Pram, with players on board while descending the mountain got involved in an accident, trapping 5 of the players under and killing 1 on the spot. The players were returning home after a football tournament at Kwetey. It took the timely intervention of the Nkoko Fire Command with the help of other road users to rescue those trapped under the bus before rushing them to the 2 hospitals. I mean, tragic story. People should not lose their life as a result of engaging in activities they like. It's sad. Commiserations with the family of the lost soul. And of course, the football club involved. As we understand, it's called Monarch Football Club, based in Ningo Pram. We are not too clear what caused the accidents, right? But we need to always send out a message time and time again that, see, if you're a road user, be mindful of the kind of deplorable nature of our roads, right? And try to be safe whilst behind the wheels.
I would say that be a defensive driver.
Yeah. I talk
person.
about that a lot on my radio show. So defensive driving, the 3 to 4 second rule. Don't drive under fatigue. Don't drive when you're drowsy. Don't drive when you're taking medication. The 3 to 4 second rule basically says that, see, if you are driving, make sure the vehicle ahead of you, there's at least some 3 to 4 seconds, depending on the size of the vehicle. If it's a truck, about 6 or 7 is advised, right? This helps in your reaction time in case anything happens abruptly on the road. So we want to urge the general public, let's be safe on the road, let's be responsible in our use of the road, and I'm sure we'll be able to pull through as government commits to fixing road issues, potholes on the road signs, road markings, and all of those other issues that causes our road to feel unsafe. And the street lights, I can't emphasize that enough. You drive through Accra and the whole place is as dark as the pit of hell. Here, and it's not fair, right? It's not fair to citizens who pay their taxes, citizens who...
You know, we pay for street lights.
Yeah, you go through so in one breath, you hear the regional ministry, the Greater Accra Regional Ministry saying that it's the responsibility of the local assemblies, right? You hear the road safety saying is this. Everybody's trying to shift blame. You go to roads and highways, they will also tell you we are only responsible at the initial stages of fixing. We are not responsible for maintenance. And you are wondering, after 30 years of democracy, we can't do the basics of fixing street lights. Is it a plane? Is it a plane we are coming to build one day or what? So
we were having a conversation.
Sad.
You know, the ECG came here on Friday. We had a conversation with them, and they're saying that the street lights, you know, now they've tried solar. They've tried, like, people steal the parts.
Yeah, I hear that too.
And so I'm like, so why can't they find a way around it where they'll be unable to steal that specific parts? You know, I think it's the batteries from the solar that they steal. Or find a way where you can hide that particular battery in a way. There should be a solution, because we can't keep driving.
You can't say because people are stealing it, so
we won't fix it.
I agree with you.
And
but,
apparently the minister, the Accra Regional Minister, Titus, he announced that there will be new street lights, but they're not intended for... They're for communities, is what he's saying.
Yeah,
they're not intended for the main roads, to the N1.
He said that they are provided 25,000 street lights.
They are not intended.
I don't see them.
For.
I took a picture on top of
they are yet to start. Please. But it's not for the main roads.
25,000 street lights. We'll see something. You see, you can't provide or procure 25,000 street lights and the N1 all the way to the end of the motorway is dark. Or the Liberation Road.
The Mahama Road.
or the Mahama
Can we use that
bypass
word?
is and that's even dangerous
Accra
because
Kumasi
with that
road.
particular Mahama bypass road, you know, under the tunnel,
Yeah.
there's a sharp curve.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's single, but sometimes you get cars speeding from behind you, and if you veer off a little out of your lane, it could be disastrous. Every now and then, I see vehicles spot on that. I don't even want to go inside. I mean, my point is that see, you can't say you have procured 25,000 street lights and
Yeah.
you can't see the
They said they are yet to start. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they will definitely start putting up those things. But we might not see them on the roads that we expect to see them.
We need to do better.
Because they said it's for communities.
We need to seriously do better as a country. And like I'm saying, if you can't fix street lights, so what can you make?
Fix?
Yeah, you get it. So we are laughing, but it's a very serious issue.
And I hope that driving at night. And people are also driving with their highlights.
You see, we've become very reactionary too, right? So if a politician or something happens on the stretch right now, all of a sudden you see that the following day is fixed, like as though nothing happened. It's like you are always waiting for that bad news to happen. And I'm asking myself, why do we continue to build a society like that? It's just purely irresponsible.
Purely. Any more stories that you'd want to touch on?
I think we've done a lot on the NDC. That was the main thing, and all the stories are there. To some international news, actually. CNN is reporting that Israel-Hezbollah exchange fire in potential conflict escalation. The U.S. election is just heating up and up and up after the DNC that was held this past week. Trump poster predicts post-convention poll bump and extended honeymoon for Harris. Wow, interesting. It says extended honeymoon. Israel says 100 warplanes struck Hezbollah as targets hold security. As Netanyahu, the Israel Prime Minister, holds security cabinet meeting. On to some international news. Telegram CEO Pavel Durov detained at airport in France. And some other news. Police detain suspect allegedly behind synagogue blast in southern France. These are the big stories on the CNN website this morning.
Great. I think we're done then.
Pretty much. the word this morning is that, see, let's do better really as a people, right? The stories we've reviewed today are quite depressing. I'll even lie to you. We need to do better. We really need to do better as a people.